We're talking about 2014 Finders Keepers, which is a sci-fi original movie starring Jaime Pressly and Patrick Muldoon. And Pauline Hill, give a brief plot summary.
So the plot overview is that this mother and daughter move into a house. At the beginning of the movie, they show you basically a family being killed inside the house, and so they then move into the house, and the daughter finds this like horrible, ugly looking doll, and then as time goes on, the behaviour of the child starts to change, and it starts to become apparent that it is due to this doll. She starts kind of acting up, and then, child psychologists get involved. People start dying left, right and centre. And that's it really.
Okay, this review is going to have a couple of spoilers in it, because I feel I have to mention a couple of things really while we talk about this film. So if you want to go in this film completely blind, then I suggest not watching much more of this review. But I've got a fair amount to say on this film, but we'll start off with the positives. What are your positives?
What were my positives?
I'll say this. I thought the adult couple played by Jaime Pressly and Patrick Muldoon were quite kind of a likeable couple, especially the father. I thought he was, he came across as kind of quite a likeable guy, and you kind of got behind him. He came across as like almost like a real dad, if you know what I mean. I quite like Jaime Pressly, although I think she sort of sometimes overacts with her kind of eyes. She sort of she's constantly sort of rolling her eyes and everything. But even so, I still thought she seemed like, a fairly kind of likeable person, kind of likeable character. I think some of these kind of TV movies sometimes suffer from a lack of kind of body count, and they tend to be a bit sort of light on the actual, that sort of thing. But this film, I would say, has got quite a high body count. I wasn't quite expecting so many deaths on with this movie, so I was quite surprised with the high body count. It's not a particularly gory film, obviously. This is made for TV, so it's never going to be a particularly sort of a gory movie, and it definitely has a kind of a made for TV feel to it. Have you got any other kind of positives? Or any positives?
Any at all? No, you're right. I definitely think it had the made for TV feel about it. I probably actually liked the fact that it had quite a high body count of people getting killed.
That's what I mean. I would say that for a horror film at least. Yeah. It's at least it doesn't skimp out on kind of body count.
Yeah.
And there's a variety. The deaths are of different varieties as well.
Some of them are a tad ridiculous.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think if you're looking to kill some time, it's an alright movie to watch. It's one of those ones you could probably have on in the background, and you turn away for 10 minutes and pick up, like, you really, really have missed much, maybe one dead body in the 10 minutes of you turning away. Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's talk about some of the negatives. Not really negative, but this is going to be... I think this film pulls the wool over your eyes a little bit, because you're led to believe this is going to be a killer doll movie, and it isn't. Not at all. This is a possession movie more than anything else. There is a kind of doll involved, but at no point do we ever see the doll kind of animated. We're led to believe that it is running around, although, to be honest with you, this film is a bit kind of fast and loose with what's actually happening, and it seems to be a little bit inconsistent. I'll let you go through kind of your negatives first, but because I've got a few.
Considering I don't have many positives. Negatives, there's loads really. But it's like, just parts of the story when you were like, this is just wouldn't happen. Like the fact that the police don't ever seem to question them on the dead bodies that are turning up in their house. You're like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. What other things? I actually think the little girl who's playing the main little girl actually done a really good job, because I found her really annoying, which I always think if they can do that, generally means they're actually pretty
I'll
good.
tell you my problem with the little girl. Okay, so basically the crux of this story is this doll is influencing her. But the problem is that right from the get-go, she's a little brat. And I think what the film needed to do was establish that she was this kind of, quite sort of sweet girl and kind of a nice girl to begin with. But straight away, she's kind of bratty from the first time we kind of see her. So, obviously she does get kind of worse, but she's right from the beginning of the movie. She's kind of not a pleasant child. Whilst I think they should have established her, as a kind of a nice kid to begin with, as though you could see that kind of transition. Whilst at the moment she just seemed like a little shit, to be honest, straight right the way through.
Yeah, but then on the flip side of that though was they kind of do explain that at the beginning of just totally going against what you've just said. They do kind of explain that the parents have just split up. Yeah. And she literally finds the doll within the first 5 minutes of them being in the house. So you don't really, I guess, you don't. But
that's
really
what I mean.
That part.
It should have done some. I think it should have done some work to kind of establish that she wasn't kind of, this kind of just screaming Mimi that she seems to be throughout the rest of the movie. On the subject of the doll itself, so. As Pauline says, they find the doll pretty quick. It happens probably within the first 10 minutes. Now, if you've just moved into a new house and your kid finds this dilapidated, very nasty-looking doll that clearly belongs to someone else, you would not let your child keep this doll. No. It looks manky. It was found in like the guttering. You don't know where it's been. That was the first. That was the first thing that kind of bothered me.
Ugly doll.
There's so much inconsistencies here. There's so much convenience. Like Jaime Presley's the kind of the plays the mother. It just so happens her best friend is this kind of expert in kind of supernatural phenomena and things like that. Peachy just happens to be walking into certain offices, like the doctor's office when people have been murdered, things like that. One of the big things that always bugs me in horror films, especially the cheap horror films, is when someone gets killed and then the body is moved and hidden away. Where's the blood gone? I mean, are we led to believe that this little doll is there scrubbing the floors to try and get rid of the blood and stuff? Yeah, because that's what must have happened. For there to be no signs of a struggle or no signs that someone's got murdered. Someone has literally gone and this doll's got missed the muscle out basically and up in the floors. Stupid. It really bugs me in horror films, and the bigger horror films are guilty of that sometimes as well. But it's one of those. It's just one of these things that it's kind of basically so ridiculous. And there's the doll or whatever it is seems to be killing people because we're led to believe that this doll is influencing people, but there's sometimes when the daughter is clearly in another room, killing's going on somewhere else, so it's clearly something else, but whatever is killing, be it the doll, seems to just be able to teleport, to be quite honest. And it just seems to be in one place and then literally over the other side of the house and things like that, and it has a real sort of inconsistent sort of rules and powers and things like that, and it ends up being a kind of CGI sort of smoke monster. Yeah,
but then that's why I don't know if the part of kind of getting to the ending that you just gave away.
Told you there were spoilers. I did say there were spoilers.
I don't know if that then explains the whole kind of teleportation.
But we see stuff being grabbed from a lower angle, but we never see it. You'll never see this doll moving around. All of the kind of deaths most of them are kind of off screen or just happen kind of slightly off camera. So you never really see what, we'll see like knives and kind of scissors and stuff being thrown into people's backs, but we'll never see what through them. We're led to believe it's a doll because they're coming from a kind of, a sort of a small height, but we never see it. And as I say, this is a physical doll that obviously is small. It's only about a foot high. It's dragging people and throwing them out windows and things like that. To me, it just seems that they haven't established what you can and can't do. Whatever needs to serve the script or serve the scene at the time, it just seems to be able to do. And if you're going to set up these kind of this kind of supernatural phenomenon, I think you do have to establish what it can and can't do, not just whatever they need to do to serve the story. So overall, I felt this was a little bit of a rush job, a little bit kind of all over the place, to be honest. It's pretty much completely forgettable. I mean, there's a few other criticisms I could have about this movie, but I'd feel like I could harp on for a little while with this one, to be honest. It is not a well thought through movie. What would you give it out of 10?
Again, I think it's a background movie, something you chuck on when you're doing stuff. Probably a 3.
Okay. There's a couple of instances where I say it does have some spooky atmosphere, but even then it's kind of cheap. Like we'll see the kind of the eyes sort of glaze over and stuff like that. But it obviously CGI and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave us a comment, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.